Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Steve. I'm a principal engineer in big tech, technology enthusiast, and this is Linux by the way. I was looking to pick up a new Linux laptop, and Framework had just released their 2025 edition of their 13.5-inch model. This has several updates, including the processor, which is now an AMD Ryzen AI 300 series. It has new cooling, it has a better keyboard, and a lot of other improvements over the previous generations. I spec'd my model out with the HX370 version, which is 12 cores, 24 threads, and they boost up to 5.1 gigahertz. It also has an NPU that provides 50 tops, and the integrated graphics is an AMD 890M, which has 16 cores. For RAM, I picked 96 gigabytes of DDR5 5600, and it's not soldered to the motherboard, so you can replace that or upgrade it later if you're looking for that. I bought the DIY model, which means we're supposed to bring your own operating system, and in this case, I'm going to be running Linux on it, and I'm going to try a few different distributions. It does say it works with Fedora 42, and I'm going to give Arch a shot and Ubuntu a shot also. The Wi-Fi card is also refreshed this year, so it now does Wi-Fi 7, which is a big improvement. And the keyboard has been updated with a new mechanism, and basically in the previous years, if you played loud music, these keys could vibrate. So this refresh should make it a lot quieter and better while still having the 1.5 millimeter travel. I went ahead and I picked up the 2.8K matte display, and that's one of the best displays available on a laptop, period. And it's perfect for Linux because at 2880 by 1920, what it allows you to do is do 2x scaling, which is perfect scaling, rather than having to do fractional scaling, because I've seen a lot of performance problems and various app incompatibilities whenever you do fractional scaling, and 2x just solves the whole thing. The display also has 100% sRGB for creators, and it's 120 hertz fast refresh rate, so it'll be very smooth, and all the colors will look accurate, and it's just a top-notch display, and it gets above 500 nits. Also, a big improvement from previous years is that with the expansion cards, you can now put them in any slot and get DisplayPort and power delivery. So in previous years, we had to sort of pick and choose where you put them, and if you put it in the wrong spot, it wouldn't work, and that whole problem is solved now. It has a second generation fingerprint reader, which says it's Linux compatible, and also it has a 1080p webcam, so if you got to do Zooms or you work from home, etc., it should be really good for all of that. And to round it out for storage, I got the Western Digital 850X drive, and that's a high performance drive with a lot of cycles, and it's a good value. This year's model also has brand new translucent accessories, so I'm really excited to try them out. They're a pretty cool style thing, and it makes that whole hacker aesthetic, and it looks really neat and makes it feel like your own. So let's go ahead and unbox it and check this out. So I just got this morning, and it actually arrived a little early, which I'm really excited about. So I didn't think it would get here for a few more days, but FedEx ended up getting it here overnight, which was awesome. I was in the pre-order number 8 group, and so you can now get these without a pre-order, but that was cool to see. And so every time I get a laptop from Framework, they do a great job of efficiently packing everything in this little box. And so as you can see here, we have the power adapter, which I got, which is the 60-watt GAN charger. Super cool, high-end. I have all my accessory cards right here. And then we start with the display, and we have the keyboard cover. Right here you can see they actually have instructions where you can scan the QR codes and see how to assemble it and put it together, and that includes Linux. And so right here you can see I have the DDR5 5600 memory. Both are 48 gigabytes, so 96 gigabytes total, and these are not soldered on, so I can replace these at any time. We also have a little Framework packet here, and this has Framework stickers, which are pretty cool. So you can see here, we have these neat new sticker packs, reflective coating, and a "you should be able to fix your stuff" sticker. So I really like that, really neat. And then last but not least, we have another box which includes our screwdriver and sometimes more accessory cards, but it depends on how many you order. I went ahead and I picked the Western Digital Black Drive, which is the SN850X, and this goes up to 7,300 megabytes of read speed and up to 1.2 million IOPS. So super fast, good enough for video editing or gaming or whatever, or compiling or anything related to high performance tasks like that one. And you can see here I got the accessories. I got quite a few. I got a lot of USB-C cards, I got DisplayPort, I got HDMI, and I got some USB-A cards. And so all of these can be mixed and matched and swapped as needed. So whenever I'm somewhere and if I don't have the right adapter, I can just swap it in. We also have the free Framework screwdriver, which has the plastic pry on the end, and then it has a swappable bit here, and this is all you need to assemble it. It's just the screwdriver. So let's go ahead and start putting this together. So we'll just take off the outer cover, and they're really big on sustainability, and so a lot of this is recycled materials also, which is nice to see. And so you can see here is where we're going to put the different accessory cards in, and we can just snap those in. So these screws are just loose here, so I can sort of just go ahead and jump right in. Let's go ahead and open it up. And we should have a plastic case. Yeah, we do. So here's the plastic, and this is just protecting the components during shipping and making sure there's no dust or anything. So we won't need that after we're done here. And then right here is where our RAM is going to go. So we're going to put our RAM there. We're going to put our SSD here, and then we're going to put the bezel cover right here, and we should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and take the memory first. Just make sure when you're installing this, you're not like touching the piece where it connects into. Just grab it by the outside so you don't get any hand grease on there or anything, which could affect long-term performance. And then always make sure that you're lining it up right. So these only go in one way, but you don't want to force it in the wrong way. And so we're just going to do this gently at first to make sure that we're totally lined up. There we go. And then I'm just going to firmly make sure it's in the slot. And we're plugged in. So there's our first 48 gigabytes. On this side, we're going to make sure we also line it up perfectly. And you're going to see that they go in reverse. So the other one was face down and this one's face up. And I'm going to give it a little wiggle there to make sure it's totally secure. It is. And then we have RAM. So next we're going to go ahead and install the NVMe drive. So we're just going to open it like that. And I like to open these boxes just sort of the minimal way so that if I had a problem, I could return it without like the box being destroyed. But you do you. So here's our drive. I'm going to make sure not to touch that piece so that when I put it in, it's never really touched a human hand or anything. And there's a screw right here we're going to secure it with. So in this case, I'm going to take the framework screwdriver and just switch the bit to this one. And then that should fit right in. And I'm going to unscrew this. And again, if you need any help with these things, there's QR codes all over this. So you really can't miss it. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in and give it a little wiggle and just make sure it's totally secure. And it is. And then we're just going to screw it in. Now, I don't crazy tighten my screws. I do it very firmly, and that's sort of a technique you can learn over time. But what I would say is do not strip the screws. That's like the most annoying thing. If you've ever worked on a computer and somebody strips the screw, it's sort of a newbie move, so don't do that. All right, and next what we're gonna do is we're gonna unpack the keyboard. So let's go ahead and take this, and this is the new Gen 2 keyboard. So it has the 1.5 travel, and it also has the new mechanism, which shouldn't vibrate as much. And so I'm going to go ahead and take this, and it's very thin. So this is just the top layer of a keyboard. And so you can see here that we have a little cable with a connector here, and this connector is going to plug into the main board, and that's how it's going to operate the touchpad and the keys. And this is actually going to attach magnetically once we do that like this, and then we'll screw it in and secure it permanently. So here's how I like to do it is you pull this up a tiny bit and you're not touching the pins, but there's this little loop here, and I'm gonna put my finger through it. And I think that's what their guide says to do too. And we're just gonna make sure to completely align this with this right here and then push it in. And again, you're gonna be firm, but you're not gonna be the Hulk. So you're gonna make sure it goes in securely. You're gonna make sure it's not wiggling around, and you're not gonna break your laptop. So I realize that's much easier said than done. However, that is what I recommend. And so there we go. So now we have this in here, and we're just going to flip it back over. And then this should be mostly flat. So in the past, I've been confused by this, and I've also seen people on the forums confused by this. When you lay it down and you see this little corner here popping up, that is okay. That will go down when we screw it in, but it doesn't lay perfectly flush until we do that. And so if you're wondering about that, it's fine. It happens on every single one. So let's go ahead and turn this over. We can shut that like that. And then we're just going to use the same bit and just secure our keyboard. And so this will secure the whole top half to the bottom half. And again, I like to do these, so I screw them in firmly, but I am never at risk of stripping the screws. So if you're doing this and you want to make sure it's aligned so that you're not like at an angle or something. So I'm not screwing these in at any sort of angle. I'm going straight into where the screw goes to minimize the chances of stripping anything. And then I'm just turning these, and I'm making sure that I screw them all the way in firmly, but not crazy firmly. And I'm not using a drill or any sort of electrical device to do this. So I'm doing this by hand so I can have that feel for it and get it just right. While we're down here, this is a great chance to open the accessories and check these out. And so we have this little pull tab here. Do that for internet ASMR points. So inside we have the new awesome translucent orange ones. And so this just gives kind of a little bit of style to it. I like it. I'm excited to use these. And so just plug it right in, snaps in. I think I might have gotten all 4 of these as orange. Let's see. All right, we have another orange. And so I'll line that up here. And so I'm going to use this one for power probably, and this one for a USB-C to display port. And then I have another one, and this one is black. And so you can see here the color options. I have the translucent black one also, and that looks pretty neat. And so I'll just put that in here. And it's because running Linux isn't just about functionality, it's about style. And then I have my second black one, and I'll just pop it in here. So as you can see, I have my translucent USB-C ports there. And so now we got to do the bezel. And there's a bunch of magnets all around here, which make this super easy. And I just want to say, like, they call this the DIY edition, but you're basically watching me do this in real time. And the recommended assembly time is 10 to 20 minutes. They've done a lot for you already. And so you can assemble all this and it's super cool, but they also make it really easy. So I wouldn't be too intimidated by it. If you've assembled a computer or anything before, you're going to be fairly comfortable with this process. I also have the brand new translucent black bezel, and I like this a lot because it's clear, it's transparent, it kind of gives that techno feel, and I'll be running Linux on this laptop, and it's the framework, it's repairable, it's modular and all that. And this also is magnets only. So if you get one of these that isn't translucent, they'll probably have adhesive stickers that you're going to remove here and stick it on. But in this case, this is all just magnets. So you can kind of swap these out super fast. It almost attaches too fast to show in the video. So what I've done is I've just put this on here, and it's only held on by magnets. And so it's actually really secure and kind of hard to get off. But you can see here, this just pops right off right here, but it's held on by super strong magnets. And so it goes on here. There's no adhesive to do anything. It's going to be totally flush. And then we're just going to peel off the stickers for the webcam up at the top, and we should be good to go. You can see the translucent effect here where the magnets are underneath and the cables are underneath and stuff, but it's also a bit opaque. And so I really like the look of that. It's clean, it's cool, it's techno. Big fan of the translucent. And with that, we're ready to go ahead and install Linux on it. So after I unboxed it and assembled it, I went to install Linux, and I started to have a lot of problems. As we all know, the 2025 Framework 13.5 inch comes with the AMD Ryzen AI 300 series processors. The Framework website says it should work with Fedora 42 and Bezel and a few others, and I went ahead and I installed Arch Linux and I got all the newest packages, but I started to have some problems. What I found is in my initial research, I thought with the Framework website showing Linux support and with some of the good feedback I've seen that this would be a no-brainer, it would just work with Linux. However, what I really found in reality is that for every good comment, there were a lot of people that were having trouble. All these posts are very recent and most people have the newest patches available, and me running Arch, that's one of the more leading edge distros, and so you really can't get a better setup than that if you want to get the newest drivers. In this case, Simon Stir61 on Reddit was talking about battery life, and they were getting only 4 hours and 45 minutes of battery life. And so they were wondering, is that normal? And so that suggests that there might be some optimization available. And that can be kind of expected just given the overall battery size, right? This is not a huge battery. It's a good battery, but you would still expect longer battery life. There's another post where somebody else is contemplating a return, and they say that the hibernation doesn't work, that the battery charge limit in the BIOS doesn't stick around, and there's a firmware issue there. They can't run ROCm with Ollama. It has really bad battery life. There's not much performance improvements, and that the eGPUs don't work as well under Linux. When I'm recording these videos, I'm using HDMI out into a capture card also, so I can see it on my screen, but then show you what I'm seeing. And this person also has a problem where their display output makes the framework crash under Linux. And so what they were doing is they tried the different HDMI ports and they tried the USB-C ports, and they could not make it work. And they even include some videos here where they're showing what they did, and they're trying to run Linux and they're trying to follow all the recommendations, but it's just not working out. An extra dude guy from Framework is very helpful, but he says we do indeed have challenges pushing video in some instances. There was another post that was posted today that shows the video corruption when you try and change the color accuracy, and that's also on Fedora 42, which is a supported distro. All these problems are related to problems I'm experiencing too. So I installed DaVinci under Arch and Ubuntu, and in both cases it caused kernel panics repeatedly. And it's not DaVinci's fault, it's because of the graphics driver on these systems. There's an upstream bug report which hasn't been fixed yet, where there's crashes in the driver that happen. And I'm not even confident on the fixes they're making, because some people are reporting increased latency issues with some of these. And so they seem like band-aids, and there might be a more core problem there. So for now, I would recommend that if you're running Linux, it's probably better to stay with an older version or stay off this hardware at least for like 6 months until they can really work out the bugs on these, because the out-of-a-box experience is not going to work well. And we can also see on the framework forums, users are reporting this. And so this user said that their AMD GPU driver also randomly crashes, and it's whether using Firefox and starting videos or even the terminal at times. And that was something I saw myself. So I couldn't really predict it, but when I'd start up Resolve, it always triggered it. And sometimes if I was playing videos or other things, it would happen. And this seems to be consistent across distributions, whether or not you're using supported Fedora or Arch or Ubuntu. All of these seem to trigger these bugs, and they're certainly not worked out yet. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you going to get the new AI 300 series and just wait for the bugs to get worked out, go with the previous generation, or get a different laptop altogether? Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one.